Oh, hey, cool. I actually got you set up. I just realized that I didn't actually take the time to make sure you were properly set up in the frame. So we're live. Welcome back to another.
We're doing it live.
Another episode. This is episode 34, dude.
34.
34. Yes. What you drinking tonight?
Still doing the 117.
Nice.
Single malt.
So I'm on the monkey shoulder tonight.
Good choice.
The main reason is because I'm pretty much out of everything else.
Same.
I am out of my just bottom of the barrel 4 roses, so I can't really make any mixed drinks. I just had a old fashioned with maple syrup, which by the way was great, with the rest of my High West rye, and I have like this much Elijah Craig left, and I didn't have it in me to finish that one off tonight. So we're going monkey shoulder, and we're going to see how it goes. Because I
Did
like.
you say you already finished High West? That's already done?
Yes, Dunskies.
Oh, man.
I'm running low. I need to go to the liquor store real soon.
Just adult things.
I like scotch, but it's like, honestly, it's not my favorite. It's really not.
Well, you're not into cigars. I like scotch because I'm into cigars.
Like, I appreciate it, and it's good. But normally, I will, like, if you sat really good scotch, rye, bourbon out in front of me, I would never, ever pick the scotch. Like, you could throw down the Balvenie Caribbean cask, and I would pick most ryes and bourbons over it. And that's not to say
really?
it's not good. It's just not my taste normally.
That's fair.
Like, if all of those are down there, I'm like 9 times out of 10, maybe 8 times out of 10, gonna go with a rye.
Potato.
I love ryes. They're so good. So good. So no guest this week. We were supposed to have a guest, but couldn't make it last minute. But I got a few more lined up.
No biggie.
So Colin said yes. So we're going to have Colin on the podcast soon.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. That'll be a lot of fun. He had a very interesting story about stash. I'm going to let him tell you. So come back next time. Or the time after that, or the time after that.
I haven't heard that app's name in a while.
No, he
I
probably
used to get ads for them all the time.
He probably won't care if I tell. So I was talking to him earlier because he was asking me if M1 Finance was still the thing I recommend. And I'm like, yeah. And then he asked if I have a referral link. I'm like, yeah. Trobrock.com/M1 Finance.
Or Andu227 for Yada Bank.
No, I got to tell you what he's doing now. All the listeners will want to know what he's doing. So anyways, he was telling me, so he's been using Stash for a long time, and it's been good enough for him. So he's stuck with it. He's got like Apple, Tesla, picking some like, good performing stocks. I mean, I've heard Tesla is doing pretty decent this year.
I guess.
So. I mean, I don't know if you've seen it.
I heard something about them being added to the S&P.
I mean, it's only up like 287% in my portfolio, but So anyways, I guess so there's like a monthly fee for Stash, right? It's like $3 or something like that. And I guess like something happened with the payment method where it was going to the wrong thing or something, and he stopped payment or something like that on it. Some like card issue, right? So he goes in recently to find out that they've been selling his shares to cover the cost, which in my mind, not too crazy. If you couldn't pay, if you didn't have enough cash in your account to pay your M1 borrow bill, that's exactly what they'll do.
No,
but
right.
This is the part that's real questionable. They were selling the shares to cover a $3 charge for slightly more than $3 and just pocketing the rest.
That's suspect.
I mean, I'm sure it was just like pennies, but still. That's pretty messed up.
If you do that a lot, then it's more than
That's
just
pretty
pennies.
messed up. Yeah. So he's switching M1 Finance. So he's doing an ACATS transfer over to M1 Finance. I'm going to do a video on ACATS transfers.
Yeah, nobody knows what those are. I didn't even know.
Dude, so I got a comment on one of my YouTube videos the other day asking if I was going to do a video on ACATS transfers. And I'm like, I've thought about it, but like, it's like one of those topics that's kind of hard to like fit in. It's like a pretty dense topic. But the guy told me he did an ACATS transfer and got over to M1 Finance because he learned about ACATS transfers from my videos. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. That's like pretty much what I do YouTube for, is to hear that sort of statement. I should do an ACATS video.
It's great reinforcement.
And to be honest, I should feature Andrew Katz on the video.
You should.
Speaking of, we got to record that video tomorrow because I got to get these videos done. I'm behind schedule this week.
I thought you were ahead.
I have two. Well, I am. I have next, but I still got to record 2 videos a week. See, that's the thing about getting ahead. You still got to do the same number every week. You just got a buffer that you can burn up. It's like your emergency fund, right?
Yep.
I have a 1 week emergency fund, but if I eat into it, then like I'm back in the hole. But both of my videos next week are going to be like fairly like intensive, both in filming and editing. So that ought to be fun. Plus, Jake and Kimmy are home all day, every day now. So there's that.
Is this because of schools closing again?
So we actually pulled Jake out. Jake's my youngest, for those that don't know. He was going to a preschool near here. And every time I would pick him up, him and all the other kids wouldn't have masks on. And he's 4. So, like, I get it. There's a lot of 4-year-olds that you can't get them to keep their mask on. You tell him to put his mask on, he's going to keep his mask on, because literally ever since we started this whole thing, we never given our kids the option. So it's not a problem for them. It's actually, we have more trouble getting a mask off of Luke than we do putting it on him. Like, he'll be riding in the car with his mask on. We're like, you don't have to keep your mask on. He's like, no, it's fine. We're like, but you're like literally in the car with us. You don't have to.
Hey, he's being careful.
And so, like, with the spikes of everything, I'm like, we're just not comfortable with it. So we pulled him out. Last Friday was his last day. Literally yesterday, we get an email from the school saying that 2 of the teachers in the 2-year-olds class, which was not his class, it's on the other side of the school. Granted, this is like in a little Jewish temple, so it's not very large. The other side of the school tested positive on Friday morning. So they didn't go to school, and then they quarantined the whole 2-year-olds. Today, we find out one of the 4-year-olds tested positive. Jake is 4. He's in that class.
Yeah.
And right now, him and Luke both have a cold. So,
are you
like,
going to get him tested?
I don't think so. If anything, Kimmy or I will get tested. But I've been like, OCD taking their temperatures, and like everyone's temperatures are completely fine. So I'm like gonna stay on top of it, obviously, but it's
I had doctor's appointments this week, and they just reiterated that even it's over 80% of people that get it don't experience anything, and if they do get it, it's so minor. You're in like the 1% or lower if it like really affects you.
Yeah, assuming you don't have a pre-existing condition you didn't know about.
Yeah, but again, that even with that, that's like the percentage, the 1%.
My mom almost died from swine flu because of that.
Shit,
I
had swine flu too.
So she got swine flu, and it got really. I actually didn't realize all this. I think it was at college or something like this, and it wasn't told. Boy, my gain is like going a little hot there. It was peaking. I didn't know this until like all this stuff started happening. My mom and I started talking about this stuff a bit more. And she was saying she got swine flu. It got really, really bad. And it got so bad because she found out while she had swine flu that she has COPD. She had no idea.
Well, that brought it up.
So like the whole like, oh yeah, it's only bad if you have a pre-existing condition. Yes, but how many people don't know you have a pre-existing condition?
Yeah.
Like, who knows what I have? It's terrifying. Who knows what I have? Oh, man.
That's interesting.
Anyways, we started out with like a real deep, dark topic here.
Hey, we're going into current times. It's the benefit of doing it weekly. We can talk about what's going on in the world.
I mean, it is. Your microphone sounds so good. I'm so glad you got that thing working again. I'm very happy about that.
I only have to take it apart every time.
Really?
Thing. This Audio Technica
Dude,
I do not recommend. 0 stars.
we need to buy you a new mic. We need to buy you a new mic. Maybe you don't need quite the setup I have, but
the thing that pissed me off too is when I hit them up about the warranty, they're like, "Oh yeah, you're a month out of warranty," which was only like 90. It was only like 90 days. It was a 90-day warranty.
They have to. They have to design them. Like they have to do measurements of how long it takes for it to break and design the warranties to be just under that. Because I swear, every warranty I need to use, it always just expired.
Well, I'm okay with like a 1-year warranty at least, but it was weird that this was only warranted for 90 days.
Oh, like that's really strange. You would think a microphone would last longer than that.
Am I supposed to buy one every quarter? Like, is that what they're saying?
I mean, they are pretty cheap.
Yeah. When they work though,
these were pretty cheap mics.
I gotta say, there's not much inside of these things. It's just a little circuit board and a few wires.
Yeah, it's just all a microphone is an inverted speaker.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be this big. It's kind of funny. I opened it up. I was like, "That's it."
That's what she said.
That's what she said. And we're off to a hot start.
We sure are off to a hot start. 11 minutes in, we've talked about the illness,
COVID,
the illness, microphone. As Graham says, the illness, so he doesn't get demonetized.
The illness. I didn't know that was a thing.
Yeah, so like when this thing first started going, lots and lots of videos were being demonetized if you said corona or coronavirus or anything like that, you know, because they didn't want to, like, there was a bunch of false news going around because there's not any of that now, you know.
Everything's true that you read on the internet.
And so he would censor everything. Any articles he put up that had that on there, he would put the illness over it, and he always said the illness. It was really entertaining. Now he just does it because it's fun. But I don't know where we were going with that, but we were.
Well, the question I had tonight was, why do they have a macro phone along with a microphone?
So I thought about getting this app earlier that was a soundboard so I could have like silly sounds, and that would have been a perfect time for just like a wah, 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 wah.
I gotta throw a few of those in, you know, every podcast.
A few dad jokes from the non-dad. Dude, can you imagine what your dad jokes are going to be like when you are a dad? Those are going to be like next level dad jokks.
I hope I can have kids when the time comes. Hope it can happen. You never know.
This conversation is getting really weird. Let's talk about crypto art. So I've been getting pretty deep on crypto these last couple of weeks.
Crypto art. Yeah,
so my BlockFi account is now up to $7,500, and about 2,000 of that is in Bitcoin and Ethereum now. I'm working myself up to 10% of my total portfolio is in crypto. This is my target. I've done enough research and listened to enough people that know what they're talking about to believe in it, and I'm basically going to try and probably like 50-50, 60-40 Ethereum to Bitcoin distribution. I believe in the Ethereum technology more than Bitcoin because there's not really a technology play in Bitcoin. It's just a currency. But
what is Ethereum's? How is Ethereum's tech different than Bitcoin then?
So Bitcoin they're both blockchain, right? So blockchain is a way basically to cryptographically guarantee that nothing can be changed without leaving a note in the ledger, as it's called. Bitcoin doesn't have any data along with it. So it's just a coin, right? Ethereum is basically the same thing, except for it can store data along with it. And importantly, things like what they call smart contracts. So they can actually embed like programmatic logic into Ethereum tokens. There's different types of Ethereum tokens, which we'll talk about when we get into crypto art. So it can be used for things like signing contracts, doing loans, all kinds of other stuff like that. It's very interesting. So in the crypto art space, is a good place to get into this because I can actually explain what it is. So in the crypto art space, they use smart contracts. So like on superrare.co, that's where I'm looking at a lot of the crypto art. I actually bid on one the other night, but I got outbid and wasn't willing to go any further because I felt myself just bidding because I wanted to win. And we were getting up north of $500 for the thing. Which some of this crypto art, like, there's stuff going for $25K. It's insane.
Damn.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just digital picture or digital video. But we'll get into all that. I've spent a lot of time thinking about that over the last couple of days. But you can bid on it. And what happens when you bid on it, it actually transfers from your wallet to a smart contract. So effectively, the blockchain is acting like an escrow officer. And if the recipient then accepts the bid, it transfers the token that represents the digital art to me and transfers the Ethereum that I put into the contract to them. So you've now got technology that can act as an escrow officer, an escrow agent, something that we like have to use like humans and lawyers to do today. And like, it's, I don't know. I've always been like questionable of like escrow anyways. Cause it's like, yeah, it's not the person that necessarily like when I bought this house, like the escrow officer was the lawyer of the seller. I'm like, I don't feel like that's super impartial, to be honest. But like in this world, it is like the contract was encoded in actual like programming code, and it sat there. And then when I got outbid, it invalidated the contract, and I got my money back, or I could withdraw from the contract. It was really interesting. And then the actual art piece. So they are what are called as NFTs for short, non-fungible tokens. That's what it stands for.
Non-fungible.
Non-fungible.
I like the word fungible.
Non-fungible basically means unique. So if you look, if you see like a ERC20 is the standard. I told you I went really deep on this. ERC20 is like a standard Ethereum token. So if you own Ethereum, typically referred to as Ether, which is the currency on Ethereum, you own ERC20 tokens. All of those tokens look the exact same, except their identifier, right? But they look the same. ERC712 is the non-fungible token version, the NFT version. Those are all unique. So they have like an actual unique signature to them. And they can't be altered. They can't be altered. They can't be split. You know, ERC20, you can buy 0.001 Ethereum. That's because ERC20 tokens can be split. ERC712 can't be split. So what happens when in this digital art space is you will create an art piece, right? And you will put it on a platform like Super Rare or something like that. You can probably create them yourself. I just haven't gone quite that deep. And effectively, this might not be the most technical description of it, but this is how I'm rationalizing it in my head as I think about it, is basically what you're doing is you're taking this digital thing and you're giving it a certificate of authenticity and ownership. And that's what the ERC 712 is. It's basically the equivalent of like if I had the fucking Mona Lisa hanging up over there, a certificate of like verification that this is the original. Because a lot of times the file is too big to actually put in the token, so it's the token contains a URL to the actual file. So like anyone can download the file. Anyone can have that digital art, but only one person can own it. So it's pretty interesting. It's definitely something I'm looking at getting into and something I'm like actively trying to invest in. I'm trying to invest in things that I would hang on my wall. And I probably will hang on my wall. I'll probably buy them and then, print them out on Darkroom or something and hang them on my wall. So like then, like at the very worst, I paid a lot for a painting on my wall,
And
At
it's
the very
yours though.
best,
You own it.
it appreciates a lot, you know? Like, I want to learn a lot more about just art investing in general. It's something I've always kind of been into. And art investing has outperformed the S&P pretty consistently for a very long time now. But what I'm curious about is like traditional art investing, it seems, for the most part, most of the artists, like you kind of know who's good and who's not so good. Now, if you're investing in like artists that are painting today, that may not be so much the case, but a little bit the case. Like there's criteria I can imagine. I don't know what the criteria is, but I can imagine it. It's something I want to learn so I can better understand the crypto art space. But in the crypto art space, I think it's interesting because people are producing so much. Like you'll go onto some of these profiles and they have a ton of stuff. So there's like a high volume of things. And it's hard to kind of know like what even has the possibility of appreciating.
Yeah. Like, how do you become an art investor and know what art to invest in?
Yeah, I have no idea. And if any, I mean, of course, no one's listening, but I'm like, if anyone knows anyone that knows anything about art investing, I want to talk to them because I'm very, very interested in this space, in the classic art investing space, and also how that applies to the digital art space. It's something I've really been like going very, very deep on and am just like extremely fascinated by. I mean, I bid almost $500 on a freaking digital picture the other day. So
A digital picture.
I
that
went
you can
up
just
to zero 0.8
download.
Ethereum,
And
which was like $470 at the time.
now, as far as crypto, like, are you uh, more interested in the technology behind it and potentially how you can use that to apply to other industries? Or are you just interested in kind of what they're building as just an investment vehicle?
Both. So I got a couple of ideas on Ethereum that I'm curious on how we could build that out. You know, the digital art space. I was actually talking with Darkroom the other day about how we could potentially bake that into the product. Right? Imagine like, so you know the darkroom concept, but for anyone that's listening, the darkroom is basically a place where you can go and upload your photos as a photographer and sell prints of them, right? Imagine if you could go and upload your photo and create an ERC-712 token for it. And what the customer is actually buying is the digital art of that. And we give them a physical copy of it at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
Right? Like imagine you create a limited 10 run edition of this.
Yeah.
So people can buy each of the 10, which are guaranteed on the blockchain. And they get the ownership of it. And you print maybe on the back side of it, like the identifier and things like that. Like there's a lot of things to solve there to make it consumer friendly. Because like a lot of this stuff is not consumer friendly at all yet. You still have to like get to understand how like the wallets work and transfers work and all of this stuff. And it's very easy to literally not like lose your money from an investment standpoint, but just actually lose your money. Like it's very easy to just like have your $100 and like you give it to Bob and like somewhere in between it's just like fucking went missing. So like there's still a lot there. So like making it consumer
That was going to be my question about like simplifying the concept for those people that are completely unaware. Like me, I'm not too aware of the technology behind crypto. I understand the concept, but I'm like, okay, how do these contracts work? How does it apply to art? Almost like very simple, plain language of the benefit of what it is.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there. I think there's a lot of potential. Like an actual physical product that I'm like, man, this needs to exist and it doesn't exist yet, but I don't think I want to make it. Is so there's this product called Mural. It's like neural with an N, but spelled with an M. It's made by I don't know, one of the big tech companies. I forget who it is, like LG or something. I don't know, but it's a digital picture frame, except like large canvas size and looks very great, right? But that's the best option to display your digital art right now outside of actually printing it. Imagine that, like a great art quality canvas, digital canvas that you could connect your wallet to and could show your digital artwork. It's designed for crypto art, right? That is a very interesting product, I think, because I think there's my thinking right now, and of course I'm not an expert in this by any means. My thinking right now is most of these digital pieces of art are not going to appreciate as massively as physical art until there is a physical component to it. Like you can go display your digital art in what's it called? It's like a blockchain based VR environment thing. I don't know. It's like places where people go to like hang out. I don't know. I think that's like weird and ridiculous, and I'm never going to do that. Like
it's got a good use case though for even quarantine. You know, you still want to go to an art gallery.
I think there's uses, but I think some people are living too much in the Matrix. Right? Like we're not quite going to go all the way there, I don't think. Not at least in my lifetime. So like I think there's got to be a physical component to make the appeal of it. Like I think you need to start seeing crypto art galleries in New York where they're displaying digital art in a show like they do any regular art. So I think there's a lot there. And then blockchain in general, the Ethereum side, I'm really interested in the technology. I have a note to look into how you could do promissory notes through Ethereum with their smart contracts. You know, like, I mean, you know, I've done a couple of promissory notes, and I think they're an amazing way to earn some passive income if you have some cash. And with Ethereum, you could literally just code it in theoretically. Where like you code it in where you transfer this money and then it auto deposit like withdraws from their wallet at set intervals and set amounts based on the promissory note terms. So I think there's a lot of interesting things on the technology side on Ethereum. Bitcoin, like I said, the technology isn't really there. That's a lot more of like Ether and Bitcoin are both more of a tech or more of a currency investment standpoint. I mean, dude, Bitcoin's gone up 2,000 in the last 2 days. It broke 16,000, which was its all-time high, and then it touched 18,000 like 8 hours ago.
Do you know what's causing this recent push?
I don't think there's any correlation to much of anything yet. I think there's a correlation to interest in Bitcoin. And interest in Bitcoin, I don't think is very public yet. I think especially right now, there's a lot of interest in Bitcoin, in a lot of interest from a like number of dollars standpoint in Bitcoin that is very, very quiet because it's like Jack Dorsey or other hedge funds. And like there's actually billions of dollars that are going to be flowing into Bitcoin. So, and I don't know how accurate these are, but some of the big Bitcoin people that I've been listening to, and I actually wouldn't even say big Bitcoin people. They're like just really smart finance people on some of these podcasts that I'm listening to, which reminds me I need to tell you about a podcast I'm going to be on soon, are calling for like $100,000 to $300,000 on Bitcoin in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
That's a 10 to 30x in the next 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Like, and there's multiple people calling very similar numbers, and that always is like a sign of like there might be something there. Like maybe they're not entirely there, but what if they're half? What if it's 50 to 150? Oh, yeah, bummer! I only got 5x on my money.
That's still better than what you're gonna get in the stock market.
You know, my portfolio value right now is about $200,000. I'm gonna put 10% on it. So $20,000 5 times is $100,000, which is half of my current portfolio. So I've increased my portfolio by 50% in 3 years.
Just on that one bet.
On 10% of my portfolio. So like,
yeah,
you know, like, yeah, it could go down too. But I mean, we all know I like risk. Got into a debate in YouTube comments earlier about a guy with about risk and Dave Ramsey.
Ramsey. David Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey.
I don't know if I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of David.
I'm not like I'm happy that he's helped so many people. Let me say that first. But I think at the same time, he's made people terrified of debt and risk.
Of debt. Yeah. That's my main reason of maybe not following his total methodology.
And like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, could you imagine trying to grow your net worth to the point of financial independence without any debt?
I think from where I'm starting, it'd be impossible.
It would be extremely hard.
It's already hard
Yeah.
without any sort of debt.
Or risk. So like you're investing in the least risky companies. You're not investing in crypto at all. That would be horrible.
So like my investment philosophy would be basically index funds.
Yep. Good old
And
VTI.
I mean, like I've done the math, like to get where I need to be, I can't.
It takes a really long time and a lot of
It's just
cost
not.
cutting.
It's just not practical.
So that's why I'm not a big fan of Dave Ramsey, because I think he makes people scared of debt instead of teaching them the power of it and how to be smart with it.
Now, I think about someone's financial journey. Do you think following Dave Ramsey to get out of debt would be worthwhile? And then after that, you kind of switch your philosophy?
Maybe I would have to dig into a little bit more about his opinion on debt and using it to get out of debt, because me, for example, I used more debt to get out of debt. Like I refinanced into a loan to pay off in credit card debt, which gave me like a nice solid monthly payment with a much lower interest rate. So if he's against that, then no, I don't agree, because I think about 50 to 70% of the cases of large amounts of credit card debt can be better solved that way. I have a spreadsheet if anyone's interested that can do that math, and a video somewhere. It's like one of my earliest finance videos. It's somewhere. I did it on the porch of my family's house in Florida over Christmas. So if he's against that, then no, I don't think so. Otherwise, yeah, I think he's really good at getting people out of credit card debt. But the problem is during that whole process, he's also indoctrinating them with this fear of debt. You don't have to be afraid of debt. You just need to understand it. So, infinite banking.
Ah, yes.
I got this coming from Dave Ramsey, because I'm pretty sure Dave Ramsey pushes this a little bit, though he wasn't the creator of this. So I was listening to this podcast the other day. This is the one I'm actually going to be on. Millionaires podcast, or I don't know, something. I should look up the name. That'd be really mean to talk about their podcast on my podcast when I'm going to go on their podcast.
Yeah, get the name right. Let's promote him.
It's like I just listened to it. Millionaires Unveiled. So they basically interview a bunch of millionaires, people that are millionaires from various different walks of life. And I was listening to this one guy. I think it was this one. They 8 children and stay-at-home wife. The episode 159. If anyone's going to go listen to it, he's actually not a millionaire yet. He's net worth of $800K, but. During that conversation, I heard the topic of the infinite banking concept. And I'm like, wow, that sounds really cool. That sounds really cool, and I don't know what that is. And he when he was talking about it, he very, very briefly talked about it, and he was like, how you basically act as your own bank. And I'm like, wow, that's literally all we've wanted to do. I mean, one of our first live streams, you presented a slideshow of our bank.
I can do that again if we need to do
it. Oh man, go back to the first live stream on our YouTube if you want to see that, and hit the like button and comment if you did. So I got digging into it. Right, I've been doing a lot of talking, so I haven't drank very much this podcast. What was the word?
This is on you.
What was the word the drinking game?
Oh,
do you remember? I don't remember.
Oh, I jive with that.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is funny. I literally have 2 microphones within 1.5 feet of each other here.
You have the classic hidden microphone.
Yeah, I'm so excited about this microphone. Anyways, infinite banking concept. So one, I already started getting concerned about this when I went on YouTube and I searched, what is the infinite banking concept? And I had to click through 6 or 7 different videos before I found one I could even stand watching, because they were just so boring. And I finally landed on this channel, this husband and wife that are talking about it. Their whole channel is about infinite banking, and I'm not going to mention the channel because it was horrible. it was bad. Yes, they did teach me what it was, but I had to watch 2 videos, a part 1 and a part 2, which first off, fuck you if you do that on YouTube. A part 1 and a part 2. The part 1 didn't talk about infinite banking at all. It just talked about all the other things in life. And they were very boring, and they were both 15 minutes long. So I wasted 30 minutes of my life to learn what I'm about to tell you. So basically, the infinite banking concept is cash flow management by leveraging debt that you take out on your own assets. Okay, that was a lot of words. It is getting an M1 finance portfolio that returns a decent, consistent return and using M1 borrow against it. Except they use whole life insurance. So apparently whole life insurance, you can earn like 4% on your money there. And then you can take loans against it. I spent 30 minutes of my life to learn what I already did.
You just said it in 30 seconds.
Like, I hate these. This is why personal finance is so hard for people to get into. Because we have this stupid shit like infinite banking concepts.
Welcome to the world of finance.
Makes it sound complex and unapproachable. Like, how many people would have spent all this time digging into this?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, if you want to read a really good and nerdy book, I don't know if you've read this one yet. I know you got it. But the Wealth Management Index. That book is incredible. Yeah, they don't talk about the infinite banking concept. They talk about leveraging lines of credit against your assets to smooth out cash flow, which is exactly what you're doing. Anyways, that's my rant on the infinite banking concept. I think it's fucking ridiculous.
Someone named Nelson Nash coined it, apparently.
Yeah, and I watched the first 5 seconds of a video that's like that guy's name, who invented it, and you see the guy in the beginning of it, and like, this dude's old. Like, he was around when life insurance was invented. So like, this thing, this concept hasn't changed. Right? Like, they're requiring you to get whole life insurance that earns 4%. And like, 4%, like, and? What's that? 4% ain't shit.
Yeah, that's really not what we're looking for here.
Go get an M1 Finance account, Showbrock.com/M1 Finance. Once you pass $10,000 in your taxable account, you will get access to the M1 Borrow line, which will let you borrow 35% of your account value. I'm pretty sure the non-M1 Plus rate is 3.5%. And then if you pay for M1 Plus, which you shouldn't pay for until your account is over $20,000, once you pay for that, you'll get a 2% rate. And I say you shouldn't pay for it until your account is over $20,000 because at that point it is now cheaper than Wealthfront and Betterment to pay for it. That's the only reason I say that.
I will preface, when I signed up, it was only $25. So if they have the deal,
I wish.
If they have the deal.
I wish. Otherwise, it's like $150 a year, something like that.
Yeah.
It's still like, it's not very much for what you get. But you do that, and then you intelligently use that credit line. Like, Justin, I know you used yours to buy your new car. Well, not new car, but it's new to you. New to you.
It was a strategic utility vehicle. It was not some... And I didn't go out and buy like a flashy new car or anything.
And you used that because you got to cut your interest rate in half and fully control your payments on it.
Yeah. I'm saving money with that.
And like, if anything happens, you could always sell stock, get out of that loan immediately, and be done.
Yeah.
Not something you can do with a traditional car loan. So you got to control your own destiny there. I use it for cash flow smoothing a lot. Like, there are often times when, like, maybe I overinvested in a month. Like, I got money from consulting or something like that, and I put money into the market, and then the next month comes around, I'm like, oh, crap, I needed that money for this month. Like, I was, last month is a good example. So I need $10,600 every month in my personal checking account. That's how much we live on. I was seeing if I could go without one of my consulting bills every month and just live off of me and Kimmy's like day job paychecks. I should have kept that money in the account, but to test this theory, I put it into my stock market account, right? Well, when I got there, I was like $8,900 or $9,500, something like that. So I was short. So what did I do? I calculated the difference. I pulled that out of M1 Borrow, and then I transferred that into my personal checking account. And then I have all that. And then I've been paying it back with dividends. Like literally every dividend payment I get, which over the last week has been almost every single day, I transfer like $3.30, $3.50. By the way, do you own Costco?
I do not.
They just issued a $10 special dividend.
Whoa.
$10 a share. I think it was like 4.3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's the second year in a row they've issued a special dividend too.
You gotta love Costco, man.
Yeah, it's been doing good during the pandemic too. Not as good as Lowe's, dude. I doubled my money on Lowe's. Bought Lowe's in March.
No shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty fucking fantastic.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's all the stuff going on here. Infinite banking concept is ridiculous. Looking into crypto art, going real hard on cryptocurrency in general, and special dividends from Costco. And I was on a podcast this week.
Yeah. So you're gonna be on one.
Yeah.
Do you know when? Can people tune in?
We're recording December 1st. I don't know when that releases yet. But go check their podcast out. It's a good podcast. They do a great job at getting a diverse set of millionaires. Like there was a millionaire on there that just does blue collar work. This other guy, he's got like a family of 8 and isn't looking to get rich. And then they're going to have me on there that has 95% of my net worth tied up in private equity that wants to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
So
I like that. Private equity.
I mean, I watched one of their episodes and they're like, hey, and if you have net worth $1,000,000-ish and you want to be on the show, send us an email. And I'm like, why not? I think like my current net worth position is very unique.
Yeah, I think that is.
Like I think in the personal finance space, this is what my whole channel is based on. I just think it's boring. I think the whole personal finance space is boring right now.
I think that's why Graham Stephan broke through, because he was the first one that was entertaining and educational.
But his advice is still boring. That's my problem. It's not the entertaining content.
How do you make the advice? I mean, the content is the same, right? He's speaking to the fundamentals of
because I think the advice is cut your expenses as much as possible and put it all into VTI. And I think that's just fucking boring.
I see. So the investment vehicles are boring.
Yes. I think the investment strategies, the ones that are taught, there's like 2 or 3 of them, and they're all really fucking boring. No one's teaching you how to invest in angel, like doing angel investing or private equity or crypto. None of the big guys, at least. Like there are people out there, but none of the people that are focused on like financial independence and doing really well are teaching you the more risky strategies. And that's what I want to do. Mm-hmm. Because I don't want to put my money in VTI. I don't own VTI. I will not own VTI. I'm against VTI. Also, I think there's a lot of really interesting research that I want to dig more into about how the market is being massively propped up because of ETFs. And then at some point, there is a bubble around ETFs, and ETFs are going to fail.
Yeah, ETFs are hot, or have been hot.
They're extremely hot, and you can actually see the creation of ETFs on the stock market charts. They have such a big impact in the millennials investing in them because of people like Graham Stephan saying go VTI has made such a big impact that there's a lot of people theorizing that it's going to have a very negative consequence in the near future. And I don't know. I think you can do just as good, if not better, by picking individual stocks and taking on a little more risk.
That's where the Trae channel comes into play. Yeah,
and like the stock market for me is just a storage mechanism.
Yeah.
Like the way I look at it is I have a well diversified portfolio, some ETFs, a lot of single stocks that returns really well, pays pretty good dividends. Though I'm moving most of my dividends over to my SEP IRA, so I don't have to pay taxes on them, and because I don't need the actual cash from them typically. And the way I look at it is just every dollar that I invest in there is one going to grow at 7 to this year 25% a year.
What a fucking year. What a fucking year.
And worst case, I'm going to get to borrow 35% of that value. Sorry, I thought I heard one of my kids. I didn't. Kimmy must be home.
He's like, yo, Dad, invest in VTI. I saw it on Graham's chat.
No. I do want to teach them about investing soon. But
can't you? I mean, yeah, your kids are going to be great at one, go-karts, and number two, investing.
I really want the COVID thing to die down so we can find a karting place and just see if they even like it at all.
Hey man, come out to Southern California.
One day when we can finally like travel again.
You guys got a freaking RV in your driveway.
I know, but
freedom is yours.
The stops along the way are touchy. The destinations are touchy. You know, we're gonna go down to Christmas for Christmas for Florida. We're gonna go down to Florida for Christmas. But like we're going to quarantine for 2 weeks before we leave. And then when we get down there, like, you know, my parents are effectively quarantined anyways. So like we're not going to Florida. It's, you know, and then we'll probably have to quarantine back too. So it's like, 6 weeks for a 2-week trip.
Are you guys going to take the RV?
Yeah. We're not going to fly. That's just too much risk. And also a lot higher risk of them enforcing the quarantine on the way back.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
Which, like I said, like we're literally not going to go out or see anyone that's not our family that has also been in their houses by themselves. Like we're not even inviting a lot of the other family friends from Indiana that are always down there just because they go out and see other people all the time. We're like, no. Like I said, my mom had too much of a risk with swine flu. Like this thing would very likely kill her.
Yeah, that is dangerous.
And like my dad's parents are going to be there, and they're getting up there, and it would not be good for them either. So like we're taking no risks.
You got to protect the elderly.
I may be risky as shit when it comes to investing. I'm not risky as shit when it comes to health.
Well, you need your health to invest in other things.
That's healthy, right?
I heard it is.
I think it is. I mean, honestly, like this is mental health.
Brown water.
Right, so
this is the therapy.
Shoulder is good. So what have you been up to on the finance side lately? Anything?
Just investing. That's about it. Just continue to put money in.
Nice.
That's it's kind of a boring front on personal finance, but that's just been it.
What's your portfolio looking like now?
As far as account value, I finally
account value and what it's made up of.
I'm still on the Wealthfront plan.
Okay. Lots of ETFs.
I have not crossed over into
no single stocks yet.
Oh no, I have single stocks.
Okay, good.
My single stocks are made up of a company called Tesla.
I was literally about to ask you what that company is.
Another one called Nikkei. Nikkei. Nikola? Nike. Nikkei.
Oh, Nike. Okay, gotcha. Nike, huh? Why Nike?
I am a huge fan of Nike. It's more of a emotional long-term buy. I read
they return decent dividends, don't they?
Yeah.
What are they, like a 2.5%, something like that?
I only bought very recently. It's one of those investments where I use and have used their products for most of my life, and I probably will continue to. And then also, I'm a huge fan of Phil Knight and kind of the origin story of Nike. Shoe Dog is a book that I greatly recommend. Just maybe from more of an entertainment perspective, but it is very interesting to hear the origin story of Nike.
Yeah, lower dividend yield than I thought, 0.74%. But this is not the graph I expected to see when I looked at the 5-year graph. A very high PE ratio, though. But that's not uncommon in this market either. The 78.5 PE ratio. That's massive. All right, who else you got?
I've got Apple, Facebook, and Amazon.
Apple,
so
Facebook,
far.
and Amazon. Nice.
These are aside from Tesla, these are all products that I use.
You need to add some Disney in there.
What's the hot take on Disney?
Disney's one of the best companies in the world.
Yeah, they're
extremely well diversified, and they, I think, have, in my opinion, done a really great job at transferring culture and decision making through the years. I also just fucking love Disney World.
I have not been to Disney World.
And we use Disney Plus all the time. Granted, we don't pay for Disney Plus, and when we do have to pay for it, I think I would actually pay for it. The kids, Disney Plus is great for the kids. It's actually, I like it more for the kids than the kids like it. They like it, but they like Netflix just as much. But it's a lot easier for the kids to find shows on Netflix that I don't want them to watch than it is on Disney Plus. Like pretty much everything on Disney Plus, I'm okay with them watching in the kids' profile, obviously. But on Netflix, that's not so much the case. Like you can stumble across lots of things that are not necessarily bad, but I don't really want them watching at especially Jake's age. I really like Disney Plus. They pay pretty decent dividends. Their growth is great, and they're well diversified. Right, like right now they're having real trouble with their parks, but they're making it up in streaming revenue.
Disney Plus, yeah.
So I've owned Disney off and on for probably the last 10 years, but it's a staple in my portfolio now.
Yeah, I only started doing single stocks once I switched over to M1. That was only in the last 6 months or so.
Yep.
But Costco, I do have a list of other companies. Like Costco's on there of companies that I do want to add to that portfolio.
Yeah, honestly, I was on the verge of starting to tune out of Costco a little bit. But then they hit me with that special dividend. I'm like, I'll keep you around for a little bit longer. Costco was a COVID stock for me. Yes, I think they're a good company, but I'm way less excited about them outside of this world that we're currently in.
Yeah.
Like Lowe's too. When Corona is over, that's something I will probably scale down a bit. I think Lowe's more than Home Depot. Just hands down, I like Lowe's better. But I bought it because when this pandemic was going on, I was at Lowe's all the time. And everyone is at Lowe's all the time. It was one of the few businesses that was, one, open, and two, doing really freaking well. Because everyone was stuck home. And they're like, oh my God, that wall color's horrible. I could finally fix it.
Yeah, home projects were through the roof.
Exactly.
The 2 times I went to Lowe's during the first round of quarantine, there was a line out the door.
Yeah.
So there's not even the parking lot was full, so it wasn't like a normal day nor a quarantine day where they had to limit the capacity. It was just everybody was there.
Yeah, so there's a few that I'll probably be slowly rolling out of over the next year, or at least scaling down. But there's going to be others that I scale up. I think mid to late 2021, Rocket Mortgage is going to be one that starts to pick up. That's in my portfolio now recently. Recently added Chipotle. Granted, I don't actually own any of it yet because I haven't put any money into my account since I added it. But Chipotle is going to be one. I really like Chipotle.
Love Chipotle.
Chipotle is just amazing. They're a great company. They have actual standards and beliefs around their food quality. Like I really appreciated the one time when they just didn't serve carnitas because they found out that their pork provider was not living up to their standards in terms of of quality and ethics. So they're just like, cool, we won't have carnitas then because we can't find it. Lots of people were angry about that. I'm like, that's great.
Stakeholder in them too.
I don't know. McDonald's is horrible, but I do own McDonald's. McDonald's is actually another COVID buy for me. I don't know that I'll continue owning McDonald's after. Part of me doesn't want to put money in McDonald's. I think they're really horrible for world health.
Did you watch The Founder?
I did. I love that. It was amazing. So like McDonald's is one of those weird ones for me where I don't think they're good for world health, but I do really appreciate them as a business.
Yeah. There's a real estate strategy behind.
So like I don't eat it, but I invest in it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a bit of a conflicting one for me, but I'm not a what do they call those investors? I don't know, but investors that won't invest in certain companies because they don't believe in the cause. You know, I invest in ExxonMobil. They got a great dividend. And they're a really well-run company. I think I added AT&T recently. Yeah, I'm starting to clean up my dividend portfolio a little bit, move it over to the SEP IRA, and it's what I'm going to be like when I do finally get the retirement goal. It's going to be pretty much entirely my dividend portfolio, and that's what the entire portfolio is going to live in. That'll be in a taxable account because I'm going to need to withdraw those dividends fairly regularly, and I also want to have access to the M1 borrow, and you can't borrow against a non-taxable. So anywho, yeah, that's what's going on. Whoa, it's been 56 minutes already? I don't even think I've refilled yet.
Dude.
This is going to be a long post-podcast tonight.
Third. I'm on my third.
Oh, boy. It's going to be a short post-podcast tonight. All right, well, cool. We talked about what I wanted to talk about, so I think we can probably wrap things up.
That's a good 30 years from now. That's a good listen for folks.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's listening post-launch or not. You know, we typically have about 8 views on our podcasts, and I don't watch them, so normally.
Thank you. Thank you.
So thanks, but also if you want to be on the podcast, let us know because we have no restrictions on who can be on the podcast. If you want a financial review like we did with Lowe last week,
that worked out great.
It worked out amazing. I mean, we might review you and tell you that you are already financially independent. So that was cool. What a promo for that.
Yeah.
Or you just want to come on and talk about cars. Oh, okay. Sorry, I'm wrapping up. But did you see Mercedes took the Nürburgring with the newest version of my car? They took the record.
The AMG GTA. They did it. That's Trae's next purchase in a car.
On Bring a Trailer, it got bid up to 121, but it didn't hit the reserve.
Yeah, they're not going to sell it for it. Yeah.
The G63 though went for 75.
Oh, dude, that's obtainable.
Yeah, that's very reasonable. I think it's probably what we're going to end up replacing Kimmy's car with. And I'll probably use my M1 borrow line to pay for it.
Damn, those are pretty badass.
I'm tired of paying a $500 a month car payment for a lease for a car that we're just going to like swap in a car that I don't really even like. You know, I liked the Explorer. I really don't like this car. But anyways, we were wrapping up. So if you want to be on the podcast, let us know. We're on Twitter, Trobrock and Justin Gabriel. Dude, your name is like, no one's ever going to reach out to you. Trobrock.com, maybe the financialilliterates.com works. I don't actually even know if it works anymore, but check us out on YouTube, Trobrock.com/TFI. I know that one works. But if you already know this, then you already know that. So that's it, I guess. Bye.
Bye.